Time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by TheDartZone.com. Stay in the zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Hey, welcome to Dart Talk.
Hello, hello.
We missed you last week.
Yes, I was at a golf outing. Had a good time.
Thanks, everybody. Sorry we're late. Dart Talk, is always brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks to Windy City Fabricators who locked us out.
Yes. We
Somehow.
had a tough time getting in the studio today.
Yeah, we've had all sorts of issues today. So thanks for bearing with us. The show will go on.
It must.
This is 4 years and a day since I started doing the
Oh,
show.
is that what it is?
Yeah.
Wow.
Started doing the show with my cousin. It was a half hour long. I thought about reaching out to DJ Sayer because he was on the first show.
Yeah.
The show that vanished.
They
Like the
can't-
half
you
hour.
can't find,
I
right.
can't find a copy of it.
The lost
Then I
show.
thought, I don't want to talk to DJ. For one, he's busy playing for the Cubs. Did you see Kyle Schwarber? Had a little 5-game audition, was our DH.
Yeah.
Spitting image of
yeah,
DJ
he does.
Sayer.
Yeah, he does, actually.
And I was like, how is DJ Sayer suddenly playing baseball?
He's a catcher.
I don't know. He looked taller. He looked taller in a Cub uniform. Maybe that's just the uniform. When you wear a Cub uniform, you're
It's
automatically a taller person.
It's the spikes.
It's the persona. Yeah, we'll get to that. We can preview the CDC event that's going on next weekend in Ypsilanti.
Mm-hmm.
So we can preview that. You're keeping a straight face. Well, there's
Was I supposed to
because
laugh?
we're a week
I
behind.
didn't know you made a joke.
We're a week behind.
Oh.
So they played the World Cup of Darts team thing. Did you ever get the results for that?
I did not.
I didn't watch the whole thing. Of course I watched the Canadians had a rough loss. There were some upsets early.
Do you want me to disclaim anything before we go too much further?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
The views, opinions, rants, and rampages expressed on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect individually or collectively those of our sponsors, co-sponsors, wannabe hosts, hearing-impaired critics, or those with a penchant for attitudinal dysfunction. We at Dart Talk strive to provide you, the listener, with an educational, entertaining, and fun-filled experience each and every week. If after the show you, the listener, find yourself feeling uneducated, unentertained, and or bored, we at Dart Talk consider that your own problem.
And good luck with that, as always. Yeah, watching Darren and Larry play, I am just sort of here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
They had chances. They didn't take advantage of them. It was kind of,
Would they lose like 5-3?
Yeah, 5-2, I think it was. But
5-2?
it wasn't just so much that. It was like Larry had a whack at 56 to win one leg. And then he had a whack at 80 to win the next one. And the 80 I found somewhat troubling because I wasn't sure what he was aiming at.
Oh.
He threw a fat 20 in his first start, and I was kind of thinking, I don't think Larry's the kind of guy that would try to go tops,
Mm-hmm.
especially, because it was right on the wire on the 56. The 56 he missed, he threw the fat 16, which, to be honest, I don't think that's the easiest way to take out 56. I'm not going to tell somebody like Larry how to do it because he's been playing twice as long as me. I just think it's easier to throw a high 20 and then shift over and throw the same height dart at the double 18. I do it all the time. I think the first guy I saw do it was John Part, and it made sense to me as far as like the easiest way to take out 56. Right? It's true.
Yeah, since you're already
it's
there,
true
right.
that you may drop it into the triple and bust it and then look very amateurish on a
True, but
televised
you
stage.
also got a better chance of throwing it into the double 20 going for high. And
I just don't think that's a good way to do it, to do 56. I don't think going for the Fat 16 is the easiest way to do it. That's all. So he puts his second dart, he hits the Fat 16, puts his second dart right on the top wire a little to the right, and then, kind of overcompensates and, throws a Fat 20, and they don't get another whack at it. All right. But Van Barneveld was off early. Van Gerwen looked okay. Darren played great. And then the 80 was sort of like, I don't know. Larry threw a Fat 20, left 60, and then I think he threw a 1.
Oh,
and
really?
Then so he never had a whack at tops on that one. But then Darren took out like a 105 or a 115, and then Larry turned around and he took out like, was it 100? Trip 1, trip 19 tops.
Nice.
So those are the two legs they won. But if you hit the 56, you're on serve, right? So I mean, it was closer, really, kind of than the score indicated. But I was just sort of like, man, 56.
Well, I'm sure he's feeling the same way.
I don't know. He looked pretty comfortable on stage. They were kind of high-fiving each other after Darren had the first like ton plus out, and and then the last leg, the Dutch went like, I don't know, ton 80, ton 40, something like that. I mean, it was kind of
it was over.
It's hard to break a team that's going to throw an 11 darter.
Yeah,
real hard. And then I got disenchanted with the event, actually. So if you've got the results, we can run by them. We were supposed to do them last week. We'll get the results, and we'll read them off after the first commercial. This is going to be a weird show because so much has been going on in Chicago, and it's like the off-season of discontent now. Our Blackhawks, as you could see in the background, emerged victorious to the surprise of no one in Chicago. And I must say to any NHL executives who are listening or anybody connected to NHL Network, you guys are a bunch of jerks because it's all East Coast. Everything is East Coast. If you play hockey in Chicago, it's almost like, oh, well, yeah, they're pretty good, but Tampa. We beat them 3 straight, okay? I mean, enough with Tampa. We came out of a stronger conference. We played tougher teams. Anaheim would have beat Tampa too.
Were there articles written about that they should have won or what? I don't know what you're talking about.
I have to watch the Blackhawks coverage, but it's done by the East Coast people, and they're morons.
Okay.
And I'm just sort of like, it was the same thing when we beat Boston. Oh, Boston is just so great. And, the Hawks got some nice players. Same thing when we beat Philadelphia. Oh, Philadelphia. The Hawks, they're all right. They did win one a couple of years ago. And now it's like, oh, well, I don't think they're a dynasty.
Who said that?
Oh, who is it? Barry Melrose.
Oh, really?
That guy.
That shocks me. I thought Barry Melrose was a Hawk fan. He always gave him respect.
Yeah, they're not giving us enough respect, and now we're going to lose everybody again.
Yeah, well,
right. It's
the nature of the beast.
I know, but we're going to lose like 10 guys.
They were saying it wasn't going to be as bad as the 2010 debacle.
This was pretty impressive. This team was impressive, and I guess tonight they named. This is kind of weird. The Mark Messier Leadership Award is voted on by Mark Messier.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, well, I guess that's cool.
But nobody else, just him.
Just him.
Oh.
And he gave it to Taves.
All right.
He gave it to Dustin Brown last year. Brown, because the Kings won it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's face it, the East Conference is weak. Just like in basketball. I mean, it's like the teams are much, much weaker. And everybody's like, oh, Carey Price is so awesome. Awesome is in Game 7 on the road, scoring 2 goals in the first period. That's awesome. Not losing to Tampa and being like, and there's another guy, Subban. Talk about overrated. He's nominated for Defenseman of the Year and Duncan Keith isn't. Are you kidding me? What games are these guys watching? Sorry.
That's all right.
I watched a lot of hockey. And that was part of the reason we couldn't do the show.
Right.
I know you were golfing and you really were going to have a hard time making it, but I was like, hey, if there's Game 7, I'm not going to be able to do the show.
Exactly.
Unless you want to watch somebody watching a hockey game talking about darts. I mean, I don't know how we're going to do that.
I actually probably would have made it too, but
oh yeah,
yeah.
It was weird. I did after 4 years. I think I'm entitled to a vacation day.
Sure.
Right. And to be honest, the dart thing is it's starting to get to me. Like I seriously, I had a little light go on the other day. Thank God, because I was really starting to be like, man, I don't know.
What about playing?
Yeah, I mean, I can't. It's not so much that I'm struggling. It's like, man, it's going to take a lot of work to get it back. And I just look at the board and I'm like, right? So, love of my life, we went out to see some friends and we played some 50-60 the other night. And I just was like, screw it. Went back to my old stance, went back to throwing kind of deliberately and slow, and basically played awesome.
Okay.
And I was
We've
like,
been
all
talking
right.
about going back to your old stance for a while.
It's a done
now
deal.
That you're healthy, your back's fine.
Yeah, it's a done deal now. I'm just going to have to kind of watch it. And, my arm feels great and everything. Now I just have to, start hitting the practice board. But I think it's a sign, that, I don't know, there's something shifting in the way I look at the game because I missed a tournament.
Which one?
I missed the CDC in Ypsilanti.
Oh, you did? You didn't go to that?
I no-showed.
Oh.
Well, I had it in my head from the day that they announced the dates that it was the last weekend in June.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right, I got, I started practicing a little bit and, I was doing okay. And I was like, okay, I'll be ready by next weekend. And then Saturday morning, I get a call. Hey, are you playing? Dude, are you playing? And I'm like,
where?
I'm sort of like, I got the date wrong. I paid money in advance and everything. I mean, and I'm like, I got the date wrong.
That's not good.
This is the state of. No wonder Tiger Woods is shooting 80, right? I mean, at least he found the golf course.
Yeah.
I couldn't even get the right weekend. So I got the results that Anthony Eugenia mailed. So we'll get to that later in the show. But I'm just sort of like starting to wonder, about. I'm questioning my own desire, and I wonder if Tiger Woods is doing that. I wonder if he's just sort of like after stinking it up and shooting an 80 and being like basically, trying to avoid DFL, right? I mean, that's not. I always said that if I couldn't play, I wouldn't play.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to be one of these guys showing up at tournaments telling everybody how great I was and then, not winning a leg and being out in the first round of everything. I'm not going to do that. So, it's not a retirement announcement. I'm getting ready for Nashville.
Do you know when it is?
I
believe
it's the weekend of July 25th. I'm fairly certain on
email
that.
Reminder?
Well, and the other thing is the Cubs, right? Because we have season tickets,
Yeah,
so now
sure.
when you try to work everything around the Cubs schedule, it's pretty brutal. You know how tiring it is to go to 4 Cub games in a row?
I do not, because I have not done it.
I mean, it's they have Guinness, they have Guinness and hot dogs, and it's so much fun watching a team, any sport. Because I've been watching a lot of the girls play soccer, the Women's World Cup soccer.
Okay, yes.
Where are we on time? I want to talk about social media here.
Well, I'm not really sure because I didn't pay attention to what time we started, but we're probably due for a break.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Let's just take a break and call
All right,
this
we're
the
going to
first
take a break.
15
We'll
minutes.
come back. Mark will look up some results because we're way behind the curve tonight. And I want to talk about social media. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mystery Mark, Steve Pontelmo. We'll be right back.
The views and opinions expressed on Dart Talk are those of the hosts. They in no way should be misrepresented, misinterpreted, or made to claim that the universe is against you, your family, your city, or the darting community at large.
Okay, back for the second half of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts, all the people that help with the show, and, of course, you, the listeners. Thanks for tuning in. So you got some results. Looks like England won the World Cup of Darts a couple weeks ago.
They did.
It was a nice, lovely-looking cup they got. I don't know how do they work it like the Stanley Cup? Because
I don't know. They didn't say. Yeah.
Like, is
Well,
Phil
they
Taylor
each get it
going to
for a
take it
day.
on a roller coaster or something?
For one day, and then the cup
what
is
is
back
it?
in the shelf for.
But where does it go? Buckingham
Doesn't say.
Palace? I mean, where do you keep it? I mean, I don't, that's the thing about hockey that is so cool is the way that they do the cup. I think is like one of the coolest things in sports.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they brought it to Wrigley Field. They brought it to Sox Park the other day.
Right.
I guess Taze
There's
is
more
in
than one though.
more than one what?
Stanley Cup.
No.
Yes, there is.
No, there's only one.
No.
No, there's only one. It's the
Okay.
same one. They fly it around.
Right.
Why do you think there's more than one?
Because there's one that's always at the Hockey Hall of Fame, and then the cup that travels around is a traveling cup. I'm pretty sure.
No.
Okay.
No, because
Look
why
it
would
up.
they have the guy with the white gloves and all this other stuff? I mean, it's got to be the real cup with dents in it, with everybody's name, and Lord knows, they got infants taking a poop in it. I mean, I don't know
Okay.
what they're doing. Seriously?
That's what I've heard.
From a reliable source?
I thought it was reliable.
How reliable?
I mean, I'm not 100%, but
Well,
I'm just saying.
I don't know that that's true. I don't know. It was just so funny. I had to walk down the street, the day after we won it, and strangers are smiling at you. This is, we're not in the South. This is Chicago. Strangers normally don't even look at you. It's the whole city's in a good mood. They had millions of people at the parade. It was just such a great day.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic.
And you look at these. You look.
There
at
are
the,
actually 3 Stanley Cups: the original bowl of the Dominion Hockey Challenge Cup, the Authenticated Presentation Cup, and the replica cup at the Hall of Fame.
So there's a replica at the Hall of Fame. So the players get the real cup, and then the original one is some other thing.
But there's more than one. I was just telling you that. That's all.
No, well, okay, you can't count the replica as being one, and then the other one is something different. So they parade around with the real cup. I mean, Taves is in Vegas because they had the NHL awards tonight, and he took it on a roller coaster.
The original Stanley Cup from 1892, known as the Dominion Hockey Challenge Cup, was awarded until 1970 and is now on display in the vault room at the Hockey Hall of Fame. So
Okay.
the original one is at the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Just what I said.
Well, shouldn't they get to have the babies poop in that one? Why did they swap it out?
So,
Well, okay. I still think it's pretty cool that they get to, have a day with it and they fly it around
it's
and all this
fantastic.
stuff. I think it's pretty cool. But, trying to tie this into darts, right? It's like we need an off season for darts. There needs to be like 2 months where like you're literally no tournaments are held. So we can have the kind of build up to the next season like every other sport has. Like, I'm looking at, the NHL has a draft, the NBA has a draft, the NFL had theirs earlier, the baseball one,
nobody
did they
really
just
cares
have it like
about,
well, because
like,
nobody knows who
'cause
the people are,
1,800 people are drafted,
but it gives you a couple of months to talk about next season and all the trades and all this other stuff. You need off season to build up momentum for the next season. I mean, the media is getting kind of absurd. I mean, like literally, we just win the cup, and they're like, "Hey, you think you'll win it next year?" Or they're asking the GM, "Well, how many guys are you going to lose?" I mean, okay, we just won it 5
Right.
minutes ago. Do you think we could party a little
He can't
bit?
even take a deep breath. He's got to be working the next day.
And it's the first time they wore it. They won it at home in I don't know 70 years. I mean, can we party, please?
Oh, they did.
Sorry, it's not a hockey show. I mean,
They did.
I want to talk about social media for a second because, darts. Any improvement or any growth in darts over since we've started doing the show, I think has to be attributed to social media more than anything else. And social media, has its ups and downs. Like you saw the guy yesterday, a guy sitting in the stands on the first row of a baseball game. He's holding his kid with a bottle, a little infant, 17 pounds. 17 pounds.
17 pounds.
17 pounds. Because the guy was making the rounds of the radio show, so I have info.
Yeah.
So, the first baseman for the Dodgers is going toward the wall to catch a foul ball, and the guy's holding this baby, and he just reaches out his hand, boop, and grabs it before and made it look easy, right? He's getting ripped. People, I saw a guy on ESPN, what a moron. The ESPN anchor for the Midnight Sports Center is over there. Somebody should call DCFS. This guy's no parent.
Wow.
And it's sort of like...
That's over the top.
All this stuff... Well, no, we saw it in Virginia Beach. We saw somebody like getting very demonstrative because there was an unattended 5-year-old girl in the bathroom of the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And she felt that was like absolutely no way to, raise a kid or whatever. And I don't have any kids, so I'm not going to weigh in on it. I'm just sort of like, everyone has an opinion about everyone else.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like if I say, like, Larry Butler, man, that's the most difficult way to take out 56. Well, not the most difficult, but I think it's easier to do it another way. That's not the same thing, is it?
No.
No. We're talking about, for the people that like to think about the sport and the we don't get personal, and you shouldn't live your life that way kind of thing, So as far as the social media goes for darts, though, I just wish it wasn't Facebook only.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It was like when we first started doing the show, there was a guy in Jersey, or he was in New York, in Long Island, and they were doing a podcast. I didn't even know anything about it, but subsequently, I actually went on their show a couple of times, and he stopped doing it. He just didn't really care much about darts. He just wanted to be a podcaster.
Okay,
that's kind of
and
what
he
was
chose darts
into.
To do it.
Well, yeah, his father was like pretty accomplished local player, and then Bones was on there, and Bones liked doing it, and I think at one point he fired his father. It was like right out of draft day, right? It fired him from the show, and it was just like whatever. It's kind of, I'm just rambling because it's just been a weird day. But 4 years. So what I wanted to ask you was, you're kind of like, people around the dart circuit kind of think they know me, and I talk to people and stuff, so I get seen, but you really don't get around much.
Right.
So, I'm 4 years into this. Why do you do the show? What is it about doing this every week that makes it worthwhile for you?
Well, it's fun. Get out. I like the game of darts, so talking about it is fine. And the more I do the show, I learn more of the players and more about what's going on overseas. When I first started the show, I couldn't have told you a dart player other than, probably people I played with or against in Chicago.
Right.
Compared to now, I've met a few of them, and I know more about darts overseas than, I did 3.5 years ago by far. So, it's fun to learn and it's fun to talk about, and I enjoy the game, even though I stink at it, and but I enjoy golf and I stink at that too. So
you don't stink at it. You don't stink.
But
at golf.
And it's just fun to do.
Okay, I was just curious. I don't know why I do it.
Well,
I do it. It's to the point now where the biggest reason I do the show is Jill likes it.
Mm-hmm.
She likes to, listen to us talk about darts while she practices.
It's
like if we're the soundtrack of your dart game, then so be it.
A small part of me would, agrees with you and stuff that, darts should be a bigger sport.
Yeah,
and that's a small reason to do this too. If any of this could actually help that, which it probably doesn't, but if it does, then great.
I don't know. It's weird. It's like if the guy holding the baby that caught the foul ball had a T-shirt that said "Dart Talk." That would have been awesome.
That would have been nice.
If we could get,
how do we give away 15,000 of those at the next Cubs game?
No, seriously. I don't promote the show. I stopped promoting the show years ago, and I was just sort of like, people still find it for the first time is what I find remarkable. And I mean, we've done hundreds of these things now. I was going to put some little thingies up, and obviously we had no prep time for the show,
Right?
We couldn't get in, but
we were locked up.
we were locked out. But I'm thinking, like, if I average 100 words a minute,
Okay.
right, that's 6,000 words a show
Mm-hmm.
times 200. What's 6,000 times 200? 120,000.
Yeah.
120,000 words about darts spread over 4 years. And we mostly talk about darts. I mean, we kind of get off the track sometimes. But I was just, I was sitting around thinking about that, and I'm like, have we covered it all? You know what I mean? I mean, I've had, like Gordon Dixon once said, well, you should talk about this, talk about that. And I'm like, we already did. We talked about this already. You want to talk again about how the ADO is lacking in some way, shape, or form? I don't see the value of that.
Well, yes, no, but there's other shows that revisit things that happened, that they talked about 2 years ago.
Revisit or rehash?
Well,
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just remember the first.
If it becomes new news, then yeah, you can revisit it.
What I'm thinking of doing half the time is going back in old shows and pulling clips, and then instead of saying it over, here's what we said 2.5 years ago on this, right? Because the arguments that I see, like in social media, are like the same ones over and over and over again. And when I first, you look at some of the like the little chat things, you guys. Go back 3 years, and they're still chatting about the same stuff.
Well, nothing's changed.
Well, really? I mean, the melting shafts was funny.
Yeah, that was a funny picture. Somebody posted a picture of their Fit Flight shafts at a 90-degree angle, and it just said "hot car." What did it say? Hot car Fit Flights. Not good or something like that. Yeah, they were just
melted.
They were just
well,
melted.
You leave them on the dashboard, and the inside of the car gets to be like 140 degrees, and they just melt. Carbon fiber. I've been saying carbon fiber shafts since I first used them, and I'm still on that. They're still awesome. Okay, so we had, I guess, in Ypsilanti.
Did you want to go through this real quick since the top?
Yeah, go ahead.
Since you mentioned already that England won it, they beat Scotland. The final four was England beat Belgium 2-0, and Scotland beat the Netherlands 2-1.
So the Belgian, that was the Hybrix brothers,
correct?
And then the
Netherlands was the
Vans,
and Scotland was
Peter Wright
and
Gary Anderson. Okay.
And Phil Taylor and Adrian Lewis, right?
Yeah. And it's kind of like, if
England.
you look at that, I mean, that's relatively chalk. The only question was instead of Belgium, we were saying Canada could get in there.
Yeah, I believe that. My paper's over there. I forgot.
Yeah, and then Canada failed to advance out of the first round.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you brought that up in the beginning of the show. They lost in the first round.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Well, I like the Canadians.
They Phil Taylor and beat Peter Wright. Gary Anderson beat Adrian Lewis, and then the doubles, England won. Let's see, the first one to go 2-1, they won. Then they lost 2-2, and then they won the final of the third leg to win the championship.
Okay, well that's awesome. I'm kind of looking over the results
on
from
the
the
Ypsilanti.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the bracket from Ypsilanti, and I'm trying. It's kind of hard. On Saturday, the victor was Jason Brandon, who knocked off Chris White, and Chris White came through a heck of a bracket and beat John Part in the semi, and then Jason Brandon beat Larry Butler in the other semi. So congrats to Jason. I think he's on our fantasy team. I got an email from somebody or a Facebook message. We were 130th with our fantasy team out of 700 something. So I was like, okay, well, we're in the top 20%. I mean, we're not supposed to be right. I mean, who's ever right? When people on TV predicting stuff, they're always wrong.
Oh yeah, right.
I mean,
almost always.
Yeah, it's almost always wrong. So, and it's kind of tough to pick darts when you don't see everybody playing.
Well, plus you don't know who's showing up. I mean, people might have picked you, and
The
you were a no-show.
I mean, I'm looking at the seeds, right? And we talked about Robin and Callie being seeded. I got
Right.
I got a little bit of grief from
I figured you might, but
LOML, love of my life, LOML. Well, but she was arguing in terms of she didn't think that the women should be punished and that they couldn't play in the men's events. And I'm kind of like, well, you're in an event with 2 women and 62 men. And the men
but I
don't
didn't
play
think
in
that
the
was
women's
your point.
events.
Your point wasn't that they should be punished. They shouldn't be seated in the top 5.
Yeah.
They're not being punished.
Yeah. Well, I just thought the whole thing was,
Nobody said they couldn't play.
Well, I think because they're using. I can't recreate her argument.
Right.
I don't want to get. But she went on and on and on, but didn't agree that they should be seated, high on this thing. So I don't remember now. It was 2 weeks ago. So looking for some notable matches. Chris White had rough match. Well, got through Mitch Payton, James Kinney, Dan Lobby Sr., and John Part to get to the final. That's pretty rough go.
Yeah.
Trying to see who else. Looking for Darren. Darren lost to John in the top 8.
Gordon Dixon had a decent run.
Jason Brandon went through. Let's see. I don't know who that qualifier was, but Ryan Morey, and then he beat Mike Patterson. Too bad I didn't go. That would have been fun.
Fathom.
Yeah, beating Fathom. Fathom has been playing good. And then he beat Larry.
Mm-hmm.
And then he beat Chris. So, I mean, he went through everybody. Ralph lost to Larry. Looking see if there's any huge
Final
upsets.
4 for Ralph. That's good.
Yeah. And this is on, what is this? This is Saturday. There was another event on Sunday.
This was number 3, right? And then
so Fathom
number 4 was
Fathom beat DJ. So DJ's going to end up on the top of this thing.
Yeah. Well, I believe he won the next.
Larry beat Ralph.
I believe
That's
DJ
twice
won
in a
the
row.
next event.
Yeah, I think he did. See Dart Hack in there. Jimmy Newman. Looking to see if there's anything. Where'd Paco? Paco lost to Mark Aiello.
Who then lost to Darren.
Oh. Interesting. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't go. Can you believe that? Can you believe I got the date wrong of a tournament? I'm looking at this. I'm just shaking my head. Okay, so congrats to Jason. And then Sunday they did it again. And let's see. Mawson went further here. Mawson lost a part in top 8. Bob Seneve. Yeah, made a little
top
show
4.
in there. Lost to DJ. Dan Olson's not getting as far as I thought he would. Is he on our fantasy team?
I don't remember. We picked 24 people. I can't remember who's on it anymore.
Well, okay, so Part and DJ were one semi, and DJ took that one. And then the other semi was Ralph McCool and Paco.
Oh.
There's Paco again.
Oh.
Paco's doing good on Sundays.
Ralph had a good
He
day,
needs to
good
get his
weekend.
Saturdays going. Ralph's been playing great this year. So Jason Brandon and Chris White had a little rematch.
Oh, look at that.
In the
Chris beat him.
top 16, yeah. Chris White got him. And then Paco got Chris White. Who'd Ralph go through? Pat Gallagher, Shane Elkhorn, Roger Carter, Gordon Dixon. It's not easy. And he got Paco. And then lost to DJ. It was I got to talk to Ralph about that because I lost to DJ last year. I think it was in Huntsville. So it was Huntsville 2014. Ralph goes to me. He's like, "You're not supposed to be losing to DJ." And I'm like, "I know, man. I didn't play good, But he's been playing better.
Now you can.
Well, now I can ask Ralph.
Now you can
Hey,
recreate
Ralph.
the quote.
I can give him a little guff on that one. So that'd be pretty good. All right, let's take a break. I really think we should do a half-hour show just because our first was half-hour. And it's our anniversary, or my anniversary.
Your anniversary.
It's not your anniversary. Your anniversary, what do you got 4 years at the end of the year?
Yeah,
right?
well, the very big. We started
is it
in
December, another lost show.
Right.
was the one we did at your house.
Yeah. So it was like the end of it was the end of December, and then January really kicked it off.
So I got 6 months on you. Can you believe it? Can you believe we've been doing this? I've been doing this show for 4 years.
Apparently, Brandon was down 5-2 both to Fathom and Butler.
Well, I like that about Jason. Jason, we were talking about gamers a couple of weeks ago. I have to think of Jason as being something of a gamer. It's just he's always got like a smile on his face. He's kind of, he just always seems happy. Mm-hmm. It's not annoying happy. It's just puzzling. Like, how come you're always so happy, man? But, and also we're getting a message that our stream is really bad, which I've not seen before. So if the people in the chat room, if you're having issues, let us know.
Nobody said anything yet.
Okay, we're going to take another break, and then we'll come back, because that's how we do things. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mystery Mark, Steve Ponzelman, and we'll be back.
Dart Talk agrees to adhere to the Geneva Convention in treating fairly its prisoners in their war against lackluster darting administration and behaviour.
Okay, back for the second half of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
Our 4-year anniversary special. Oh, we're so special.
We don't have a banner or nothing coming.
I know, because,
no confetti flying around or nothing.
I don't know. The thought of doing a highlight show where I have to go through 200 shows now and go pick out clips is just...
for.
Yeah, that'll work. How does somebody just give you an airplane?
What?
Somebody just gave him an airplane.
Who? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like, I'm pretty sure he's not going to be spending any time doing stuff for us.
Yeah.
He'll fly around. I wouldn't mind getting an ultralight. I always wanted one of those.
I had a friend that his one of the guys he went to high school with got a helicopter.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Helicopters are a blast, man. They're hard to fly.
He got a helicopter and his brother got a golf course or something like that.
I used to go up with the LAPD and zip around the basin and stuff. And, the first couple of times they were trying to get me sick. Mm-hmm. And then, toward the end of the second one, I'm like, okay, it's been like 11 hours. If I haven't tossed them by now, I'm not gonna. And they just started laughing. They're like, all right, let's go check out the pools. Mm-hmm. Right? Infrared cameras. You get the bodies glow white the hotter they get. Anyway.
All right.
So where were we? Oh, you had a question. First in the chat room, it was kind of funny. Gumby's in the chat room.
Yes,
Gumby's in the chat
Gumby
room.
is in the chat room. He shared with us a little mishap that he had. He said he took out 90. This is against DJ Sayer. He took out 90 with a double bull, let out a yell, and DJ looked at him and says, by the way, you have 95 left.
It was all downhill from there.
Yeah.
It's a mental game.
Well, that could do it, though. I mean, that could take you right out of your game in a hurry.
It's weird. I mean, you get these moments in a dart match that kind of just stop your momentum cold, and then it's almost like you have to restart because what it does is it blows, whatever like frame of mind you were in, and I've always said that, and Gumby's really good at this. You have to play darts off the top of your head. You know what I mean? I mean, everything's got to be kind of automatic, and you can't really be thinking about stuff. You need to be aware of things, but not thinking about them, right?
Sure.
And Ralph's really good at this. Ralph McCool's really good at, and you could, if you watch him as he's warming up and he's playing 121, I mean, you can kind of just see how automatic it is. But if something happens to destroy that, it's really, I don't know too many people that can just automatically, okay, I don't know what just happened, but I'm going to forget it and go back to what I was doing.
Especially something like that, because if all of a sudden, you're 1-1 and now you're down 2-1, you're like, well, I could be up 2-1, and then, it's always going to come back to haunt you.
If you let stuff like that get in your head, and it's the same like, you blow a leg because you missed like 5 darts at a double, and if you don't forget about that right away, you're going to lose another leg.
Right.
I mean, you got to have a pretty short memory. I was playing the Windy City Cup, I think, one year, and I was playing really good. And I was on my way to winning my second in a row. I'm playing Ray Carver, and they had just expanded the format, so it wasn't best of 3 anymore. And I think it was a race to 7. I'm up like 3-2. I'm sitting on 32. I go to the line, and literally a microsecond before I let go of the dart, we were on an end board next to a wall. Well, there was a door there, and suddenly the door opened, and I, kind of missed it outside, and I just kind of looked in it, and it was just like, Then the door closed, and I was like, well, that was kind of weird. And then I proceeded to miss and lose the match. I lost every, whatever. I lost the rest of the legs, whatever was left. And one of my buddies was watching the match. He's like, dude, when that door opened, everything changed. Mm-hmm. He's like, you should have won that. I don't. And I'm like, who opened the door? I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, I
but
still to this day I still think it was somebody with a cell phone saying, "Now, open it now." So I don't know. I've seen all sorts of weird stuff happen. But it's hard. It's hard to, kind of, and it's like that in any sport.
Absolutely.
It's like if you've been successful at one point, then it's just a matter of repeating it. Mm-hmm. And repeating it is the hard thing. You talk about consistency being like, look at how consistent the top players are. I mean, it's not an accident.
Right.
How do you get to be that consistent aside from, the repetition of doing the same thing over and over again?
Well, yeah, but you have to also have a short memory because everybody misses, Yeah. Or, you miss a dart and somebody takes out 156 on you, that's great, but you miss 5 darts, that, and they take out 62 on you. That you have to be able to sweep that under the rug and move on, and because it's going to it's even going to come back. You're going to get that opportunity sometime. They're going to miss 5 darts, and you're going to take out 62. So it all somehow evens out a little bit, but you always remember the losses and not the wins, and that's the hard part about it.
But that's a good point, though, because I remember I was playing Scott Wollaston in, I think it was in Vegas or New Orleans. I think it was in Vegas. I was playing Scott Wollaston in Vegas, and I blew a leg early. And this was like a race to 6, so this is best of 11. I blew like, on my throw, I blew a leg, like, I can't remember if I had the throw or he had the throw, but my first game with the throw, I missed some doubles and lost. So I was behind. I was behind a break through the whole match, and I didn't get down on myself because when Wollaston was hitting his doubles, he was sticking them in the corner, and I told myself, you're going to get a chance because he's going to miss that corner, and he's going to miss a double, right? And that's exactly what happened, and I got the break actually I had to throw. I lost the first leg of the match, and it took me all the way to like it was 4-4, 4-3, something like that.
Oh, you would have been down 4-3 probably.
I was down 5-4.
Oh, okay.
I think I was down 5-4, and he missed a double. I took it to level. I had the throw in the 11th leg, and I started out with a $180. Gave out a whoop, and that was it.
Whoop.
And it was, it's literally came down to like, did you if you get the throw, then you can miss the same amount of doubles. If you don't have the throw,
Sure.
then you got to
Right.
be one better, right? So it gets close. But the notion that give yourself some positive thought. This guy's going to give me a chance.
Right.
Right? I'm not out of this. As opposed to the
Well, I
negative
just
thought of,
screwed that
oh,
up.
man. Because what it does is it brings down your energy and
Yeah.
stuff,
Right.
You start thinking negative and you start
Well,
throwing negative.
It's harder to concentrate, and it's harder
Yeah.
just to be, straight and, normal. And
Yeah. I mean, you were asking me what's wrong with Tiger Woods, and I basically said, it's all mental. And I'm kind of, because I am Tiger Woods now because I stink so bad, it was nice just getting back to roots the other night. And just, what is it that makes you a player? Well, I go to the line. Now I stand the way I normally used to stand, so go back to my old stance. I got the same darts, and let's throw with a little determination. And then there was one thing that I noticed I had been doing wrong, and I couldn't figure out why I was doing it. And then, I don't know how there was a girl that used to play. She was a pretty good player. And I haven't seen her in years and years and years. She moved away, and I don't know that she plays anymore. But for a while, she was one of the better women playing steel in Chicago. She played soft tip too. And I can't remember how this came up, if she was watching me warm up or if I was having a bad match or something. And she said, you don't have your head like really stuck in behind your shoulder. And it's weird. Like I get, my neck will go out of joint, and maybe, I'm not turning my head, quite the way I should. And I thought about that, and I went to the board, and I just started drilling everything. And I was like, maybe that's, because now that I moved my stance and my shoulders are in a different spot, like my head was in a different spot. And finally I just gave up. And I'm like, you know what? This is how you throw. Just deal with your back.
Well, right.
And,
But, every time you change something, you have to work at it. You have to reinvent yourself,
well,
so to speak.
But it was weird because I couldn't get a handle. I used to be when I missed a dart, I knew why.
Mm-hmm.
But that somehow, when I changed my stance, that kind of went away, and I'm kind of like, now I'm confused. I'm like, what? Did I do this? Did I do that? Because now I have no baseline. So going back to it, I think is really helpful. So, like, the first 141 I saw, the other night, I missed the double, but, the triples were dead center, and it's like bad lighting with loud music playing, and I'm like, okay. Concentrate.
Right.
Have a positive mental attitude and let them fly. And don't worry about it. Does that sound like too simplistic? Because if it sounds too simplistic, it's probably right.
It's probably right. No, it doesn't. It sounds right to me. I mean, it's it sounds so easy, but it's very difficult to do.
Yeah, I think from between now and Nashville, I'm just going to focus. I'm going to try to be as positive as possible, when I'm playing, as far as like, whatever mental thoughts I have. And I'll bet you it helps.
Sure.
I don't think
it's going to hurt.
Don't worry about the one that, you didn't let go of correctly, and just keep moving, because they do go in. They know where to go. You know what I mean? It was like kind of the same thing Gary Mawson was telling me when we were in Miamisburg. He's like, I'm not worried about anything but the mental part of the game now. I've been throwing 20 years. My arm knows how to throw a dart. Mm-hmm. If you look at all these guys that are successful, it all becomes a mental game. And you look at the results from the CDC, and it's pretty much, you see kind of the cream rising to the top. I mean, you're seeing the same players regularly in the top 8, in the top 4,
sure.
Right? So who's in the best form now? So, you look at Ralph, you look at DJ, you look at Larry, you look at John Part, you look at Chris White, David Fathom, because they're consistently there, right? Part of that, may come down, if you look at the international players like Chris and Fathom and John Part, I guess with the Cosmo crew, they have a lot of experience, playing all sorts of formats, but especially this one, where, probably the one surprise would be DJ winning two of four.
Right. And
I think some people, I think some people would find that surprising. I don't think seeing Larry's name there is much of a surprise. He's got as much experience as anybody else. I don't know that he's got as much experience playing this format than anybody else, unless he's like, playing a local league or something like that, because I just don't see, he has played like all the PDC events that were hosted here. He's played, but, so is, pretty much everybody you see there.
Sure.
Fathom played them, and Chris White played them, and the only guy I'd like to see playing in this thing is Jason Brandon. Or I'm sorry, not Jason Barlow.
Okay.
He's got the kind of game. He's fun to watch too. And I was thinking about that. Watching the rally for the Blackhawks, because Brandon Saad had this huge smile on his face. Young guy, he's only like second, third year in the league.
Yeah,
he's barely drinking age.
Right.
But he's fun to watch, and his enthusiasm is fun. And when I start thinking about the dart players in terms of like marketability and stuff like this, and who's the most fun to watch? Paco's fun to watch because he's so fast, right? Jason Brandon's kind of enjoyable to watch because he always looks like he's in a good mood.
Mm-hmm.
I like watching Ralph. Somebody told me that of all the players he's seen, if you wanted a guy to do exhibition like trick shots and stuff, Ralph would be the guy to do it.
Okay.
I don't know what trick shots you could do, but I thought that was pretty interesting. So in terms of marketability, I don't know who else I'd have to look down the list to see. It's charisma is a weird, touchy-feely kind of thing to put your hand on it. Like, who's got charisma and who doesn't? Like, Ralph has it. Ralph has charisma. I think Jason Brandon does. I mean, it's kind of weird. I mean, for us to all this discussion about Tiger Woods, the fact is that when he's not in the field, the eyeballs drop.
Sure.
Right? There's not as many people watching because Tiger Woods makes it special because he's done so many special things in the past. Right? So who's going to be our Tiger Woods?
Well, but see, I think the difference is, if you're bringing that up, is Tiger Woods was just dominant and good, but he wasn't very charismatic on TV. He was always still yelling and screaming, and he was very.
Well,
he wasn't.
You
he
could
never
enjoy,
looked like he was having fun.
I'm
out
not
there,
saying he's got kind of like a chatty BS personality. I'm just saying people like to watch him. They like to watch his emotion. He's got a nice smile and everything when he holds up the trophy.
Well, yeah.
I mean, there's
people like to watch him just because he was.
Yeah.
Could do amazing things with a golf ball, but.
Yeah, that Nike commercial where he's like flipping it on the wedge, that thing cracked me up.
Right.
I just thought that was so cool.
But as far as actually watching somebody, I mean, people would prefer to watch Phil Mickelson play because he was more charismatic and looked like he was having fun out there. Tiger Woods never looked like he was having fun out there. He was just ultra competitive and wanted everything to be perfect at all times. So that's why, I mean, if that's what he was more fun to watch. Phil Mickelson was.
Phil Mickelson is a train wreck. Watching Phil Mickelson is like, when is he going to try some goofy shot that's going to kill his tournament?
Okay.
And it would happen every U.S. Open for like a decade. It was like, how is Phil going to screw himself this time? Right? I mean, that was always the attraction, I saw with Phil. I don't like left-handed golfers because some courses, they have a tremendous advantage, like Augusta. Augusta's made for lefties.
There's golfers out there that have a smile on their face and playing, and they're fun to watch. Tiger Woods was only fun to watch because he was just ultra good.
Well, I was thinking more Sauter.
I mean, that's like if you're talking about some guy going up there and he's just raining ton 80s all the time, but he's got a scowl on his face and can't believe that he hit a ton 40.
It'd be me.
Yeah, you're gonna be. He's not as fun to watch, other than the fact that he's got a shot at a 9 darter almost every time he steps to the line.
I don't know.
You got people out there with a smile on their face and having fun and throwing 12 darters, 15 darters, and having a chance to win. They're more fun to watch.
Like Van Gerwen doing this thing all the time. I mean, it's starting to get annoying, but I think he's stopped doing it as often. He was kind of. He's trying to play with emotion, and he's trying to keep his adrenaline up, and he's He's, playing kind of excited darts. I mean, we don't really do that here.
Right.
I mean, that's what guys do in a bar when they're playing their buddy, somebody they don't like, for $10.
If you're Ralph, you let
Right.
out a whoop and you bust, or you didn't bust, but you should have 5 left.
Hey, you misread the score.
Sure.
You can't read the guy's handwriting or something. I mean, I don't know. I've seen it. I've seen it all, man.
Right.
I mean, and
Sure.
I've done it all. I've thrown it the wrong out.
But I mean,
I've miscounted. It happens to everybody.
I don't know.
It happens to everybody.
What's the difference, though? You have Van Gerwen keeping his adrenaline up, and overseas they're always whooping and fist pumping and all that stuff, and people rip on Johnny K for screaming at the board after he hits something good.
Well, the real ripping was on. Where are we on time? I didn't really.
We're way over for a break.
All right. Well, we'll come back and we'll talk a little more about ripping on people, because they had the darts live in France, and apparently there was a lot of stuff people were saying which bothered me, which is originally why I wanted to talk about social media. All right. So we'll take one more break and we'll be back in a sec.
You are now and forevermore warned that you consume this show at your own risk, and that Dart Talk cannot be brought to justice in any court or by any government, including and not restricted to the grand spaghetti monster of the Triple 20.
Okay, back for the fourth quarter of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. How many times have we said that? TheDartZone.com supports the show, so we support him.
Haven't seen him in the chat for a while. He's still mourning the Rangers.
Yeah, well, I don't think the Mets are going to cheer him up much. I think that they were an aberration early in the year.
Looks that way.
Washington's going to... Did you see Scherzer hit that guy?
Yes.
Gets 26 guys out in a row, and the guy leans in with his padded elbow, and, that guy's an embarrassment. How does he live with himself? I could see A.J. Brzezinski doing that, but not good. That was not good. When are we going to start using the bobbleheads again? I got a new bobblehead.
I don't know. You forgot to bring one.
I know. I got a new Joe Madden bobblehead.
Mm-hmm.
I see a bobblehead over there. Is that a Santo bobblehead? Where did he get that?
I don't know. That is new. Yeah, it is Ron Santo.
Huh.
I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Of
course, he's out of town right now. That's why we were locked out.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. So social media, right? So I guess Soldier Gates won the Darts Live in France. Right. Mm-hmm. Good for him. But apparently he was getting ripped on on like Facebook and whatnot, because like darters don't use Twitter. I don't know why. English darters do, but the American darters kind of aren't really on there much. People trying to market stuff outside of that, it's, you know, I remember, I think it was Rob Heckman said, Twitter's dead. And I'm like, no, Twitter's not dead.
I don't think it is.
Not that we use it. I meant to. I can't get this one thing to work. So I don't know. We'll wait for the technology to catch up to our needs. And then we'll start with the Twitter thing. No, but it's kind of funny. It's like the guy with the kid who caught the baseball.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, people are weighing in that he's a bad parent and all this other stuff. They should call the authorities, that he should be kicked out of the game, la-di-da, which is kind of the rule. You know, if you interfere with a ball in play,
Right.
then
Was he
you're
leaning
supposed to.
over the field to play,
Oh,
though?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was 6'4", so he just reached over. He leaned, like he put his kind of upper leg up
Yeah.
against the wall, leaned over a foot, reached out, and caught the ball. Right out of the, you know, literally, it was about to drop in Adrian Gonzalez's glove. He's the anti-Bartman. Everybody gave him a hand. He got a standing ovation from the crowd. And now there's people like who have no business, you know, really saying anything. Yeah, a guy on ESPN on SportsCenter saying they should call the authorities on this guy. What is that? You know, ESPN, for one, is not the fan police. For two, you know, people that are like, yeah, everybody can have their opinion. I have no problem with that. But at some point, you got to realize it's like you're just a hater.
Right.
You know, haters be hating. Okay, fine. But, I mean, enough is enough. I mean, we're not the fan.
We're not 6 of the league championship series, and he does this, and it could have been an out. It's a different situation.
Well, they called him out anyway.
Right.
I mean, it's fan interference.
Oh, they did call him out?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
They
okay.
went to the replay, and they saw, you could
Which
clearly
is different
see that the
nowadays
ball was
than-
in the
yeah.
field of play, and therefore,
He
you
was
know,
right.
you can't do it. It's the old Jeffrey Meyer thing.
Mhm.
Like the kid was a hero, right? He,
Yeah, in
you know,
New York.
saved New York a
Right.
run, right? You know, Bartman cost us one, but that ball was in the stands,
Mhm.
so it wouldn't have been fan interference. I mean, it was just sort of like, dude, let him catch it, would you?
Yeah.
We're trying to win this game. Whose side are you on?
Well,
Not going to have that discussion again. But I was just kind of, you know, it's becoming more and more common now on social media to just say nasty
That's
stuff
it. That's
because
what
you
it's-
have no
that's
accountability.
what everybody uses it for, is for nothing but negative comments. Well, not nothing, but for the most part, it brings out, you know, a higher majority of negative comments than it does about anything else.
I just hope, and you know, everybody's different. And to be honest with you, darters' personalities, the personality you need to excel at darts is not the same personality that is going to make you a hit at dinner parties. You know what I mean? There's a certain amount of perfectionism and stubbornness and stick-to-itiveness and tunnel vision that you need to be a good darter, and that is not going to ingratiate you in a lot of social
Sure.
ways. When you're in a sport and you're playing heads up against somebody, I mean, there aren't too many sports where you know, I mean, tennis is head to head. Boxing is head-to-head, right? And if you look at some of the comments about the style that people are playing, I think you're sort of missing the game. The Women's World Cup, we beat Colombia 2-0.
2-0.
It was
right.
2-0, and they're ripping the coach. The American press is ripping the American coach because of the way they're playing. I don't like their style of play. They're not doing this. They're not doing. Hey, they won.
That's it.
Did
That's all
anybody
that-
notice that they won? You know, I'm sorry. I mean, it's like you're supposed to win a dart match.
Mhm.
You're not supposed to go over the line gamesmanship-wise, but, you know, in the World Cup, the Nigerian coach didn't shake the American coach's hand. And I was like, why? I don't know. Haters. So go hate.
Yeah.
Just go away. You know, so, like, you know, Boris Kretschmar, I've never really seen him do anything but, like, be gargantuan. You know, he throws his darts and he goes and he gets them and he comes back. And you know, Soldier Gates kind of does the same thing. If you're going to play with emotion, then play with emotion. You know, would that throw you off if I'm whooping it up after every 9 count? I mean,
Well, it depends.
Uh,
I mean, at some point in every sport, there's common courtesy. It depends on how you're doing it. I guess I don't know. You'd have to look at everything else that happens. But if
every time I've whooped it up after a big shot, I've gotten kind of negative reactions from my opponent.
Think back to tennis, when Monica Seles and they started grunting, and it used to be like the worst thing ever, and now 90% of tennis players grunt.
They all grunt. It's musical now.
Yeah, but it literally was.
They ripped her for that.
Unbelievable. And now it's commonplace.
Yeah, but I mean, she would scream.
Yeah,
I mean, it was sort of like, and the players are saying, well, here's the deal with tennis. I don't know. We're so far over. The deal with tennis is that the players need to hear the ball hit, because the sound that the ball makes on the strings, you can tell if it was hit solid or not. That's why tennis crowds are quiet. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know why golf crowds are quiet, but
other than they need to concentrate, you can't have somebody yelling in your backswing while you're trying to swing a club, but it would make it more fun.
Wouldn't it? I think drunk and rowdy people make pretty much any sport more fun. That's why do you think people are into football? Can you imagine watching football and having to be quiet? What'd be the point of it? I watch hockey, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, and I'm at home.
Oh yeah, I mean you got the baseball playoffs, and they're screaming their head out when their pitcher's pitching. And he's got to concentrate and be able to throw a strike.
So, I mean, if the players can't display emotion, then how are the fans supposed to? You know what I mean? Right. So you can't legislate that out of the game. What would be the point of that? We said it, and again, I should go pull it from one of our shows. But if you're playing with honest emotion, I never have a problem with that. If it's gamesmanship emotion, then okay, you're a jerk.
Right.
But you hit the shot you hit. I'm not going to be happy about it anyway. Right, if I miss 5 darts at a double and you take out a 152, there's nothing you do is going to make me happy.
If you whoop it up and hitting a ton 80 to start at 501, then that's a little ridiculous,
I've done that so rarely, but I just remember every time I do that, the look on somebody's face was always like negative. And it's like I whooped it up. I threw like a perfect game. I whooped it up, and my opponent was just kind of like shaking his head. He was kind of smiling, but he wasn't happy.
No.
He's not genuinely. I'm genuinely happy for you that you hit that, because he was on a perfect game. It's like what am I? Hey, it happens. Win the diddle, kind of thing. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. We'll be back next week with actually, a show about darts. We'll start our 5th year out right. You got anything?
You going anywhere this weekend?
Well, I was going to go to Michigan. I guess I could go.
Now
what would be the point?
The Cubs are on the road. Now you actually have a free weekend.
Yeah.
You won't know what to do with yourself. Practice.
Well, I'm going to go to the Cub game tomorrow.
Right.
I'm going to go to the Cub game tomorrow. We got a new grill. So anybody out there with good marinade recipes needs to email them to darttalk@gmail.com, because I am hunting down good marinades. I prefer ribeyes and T-bones and porterhouses. And every now and then, I'll just go half. I'll get like a New York strip or something. Right. So I'm looking for good overnight, like 24-hour marinades. If anybody's got one, feel free to send them along. We should have a contest for that. You know who'd be good is actually the dartzone.com. Yeah, I bet you he's got really good marinades. Yeah. I'll have to send him an email. Anyway, you got anything else? You in town this weekend? What are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No. Work on Saturday, golf on Sunday. That's it.
How's the golf going?
Awful.
That's great.
Brutal. Very
bad.
You
should come out to. I would go out and hit a bucket of balls. I may do that, like on Friday. I may take a 7-iron and walk down. I literally can walk to a driving range and walk to a beach, and I don't do either. How's your Pebble?
It's good.
Is that what it is? A Pebble?
You got Pebble.
Is it?
It's nice.
As hip as you expected it to be?
Yeah. It's not top end, but it does the things that I need it to do. I like it.
It works, huh?
Yeah.
Jill was talking about, do I want to get a Fitbit? I'm like, what do I want one of those for?
Right.
And
this actually has a version of that, so it counts.
And that's what is it?
Counts
your steps.
Yeah. But a Fitbit does more. I mean, you can program it and it tracks everything and
like your heart rate.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to know that.
Right.
Does it do your blood pressure?
I don't know enough about it. I don't have a Fitbit, but
okay.
But yeah, this will track my steps.
If it does your blood pressure, I should probably get one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But Fitbits are good. I just don't have one
Okay.
because
I mean, it was just the weirdest thing. Hey, you want a Fitbit? I'm like, I don't think so. What is it?
I don't want to know how poorly I'm doing every day.
I know I'm not in good shape, and I can tell that I've put on a little bit of weight because when I felt so solid.
Are tighter?
No, they're actually not. But I felt so solid at the line. When I played the other night, I played for like 45 minutes, and I was like, this is how it's supposed to be. So I'm actually looking forward to practicing. See how it goes. If I can whistle somebody up to play.
Yeah.
Get Ron Johnson. See if he can come up. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. I know it was a weird show. We apologize. Stanley Cup hangovers last a long
Congratulations to the
time.
Blackhawks.
Congrats to the Blackhawks. Congrats to Soldier Gates for winning the Darts Live. England. Jason Brandon. DJ Sayer. We forget anybody? Yeah.
I'm sure we did, but
There's a Darts Live in Canada coming up and a PDC Spectacular in Canada coming up. We'll talk about that next week, and we'll preview the next CDC event, and we'll see if we can get any news. There's also a guy, he's got like this app for a tablet that he wanted us to review. He sent us like some free codes, and I still haven't had time to check it out.
oh, all right.
So we might do another product review. Are you using those rings at all?
I haven't thrown a dart in 5 months.
On that note, we will dart talk to everybody next week. Y'all take care.